Okay, we're going live.
Here we are again, Motzei Shabbos. We made a hachlata, which means like
decision.
A spiritual agreement with our soul that we're gonna, disseminate knowledge once a week, Motzei Shabbat, which is after Shabbat, Saturday night. Because I feel like I had such an incredible week last week after doing that. Like instead of, usually we try to, Saturday night is the night everybody Motzei Shabbos wants to go out and eat and do all kinds of things. And instead we said, let's start out the week with,
spreading Torah.
Spreading some Torah. And I had such a productive week. So I was like, oh, you know what? I want to try this again.
Starting the week out on the right foot.
Yeah, and I got such feedback from some people. So, so the subject is Lecha, which is this coming Parsha, and we have to live with the times, which means we're living with the journey of Avraham Avinu, our forefather. And so the path to enlightenment is very much connected to that first commandment that Avraham Avinu was given. And he was already 75 years old when he was given that commandment. What do you think of that?
Wow.
So it's not like he suddenly, started on that path at the age of 75. All his life he was, following the path of finding God, finding that one God. He was that one, what's the word terminology for it? The one God,
monotheism.
So he was, basically getting out of the idea of multiple gods and into the idea that there's one God who runs the whole show. And even, even though I have a kind of more of a broader sense of understanding of what, how others see multiple gods while there's only one, the path of enlightenment is to take your multiple gods, and I'll explain what that means. It doesn't mean I believe in multiple gods, and bring them back to the oneness. Return to the oneness, which is the path to enlightenment. So your multiple gods are basically many, many mirror reflections of the self, and how you are experiencing life every day depends on the many different parts that you're made up of, reflects reality back to you. So the path to enlightenment is in this sentence that Abraham Avinu was told, Lech Lecha, ma'artzecha, mimoladitcha, umibeit avicha. So what does it mean? First of all, Lech Lecha means, most people think just means go. Go out of your land where you are, from Ur Kasdim, and go into the land of Eretz Yisrael. Go to the land I'm going to show you. So it takes a lot of guts to leave a place that you've been in for many years and let go of everything that you know and embrace a completely new reality. Go and, go without any expectations or pre-notions, and just allow yourself to embrace a new reality of something, the unexpected, allow the unexpected to come. And so Avraham Avinu at the age of 75, after kind of spreading the light all his life and connecting to the idea of monotheism, all at 75, you would think he was been working all his life. Now God is telling him, Lech Lecha. So what was he doing up until then?
Mm-hmm.
And Lech Lecha means go, Lecha, to yourself. So the path to enlightenment is going into your true self.
Getting to know yourself.
Getting to know your true self. And go to Eretz Yisrael. Eretz, people, what did you learn about Eretz Yisrael? What does it mean?
Ratzon is your will, running, Ratz.
So in the word Eretz, you have the word Ratz, to run. And you have also of the root word Ratzon, which means will. So Eretz is, when you're going to Eretz Yisrael, you're running into your will, and Yisrael is connected with the word Yashar El, which means when you're completely aligned with your inner will, means that what you're thinking, what you're speaking, and what you're doing have a complete alignment. So going to the land I'm going to show you is like I'm going to show your inner will. But in order to do that, you have to leave Moladetcha,
Where you were born.
where you were born. First Artsacha, your land.
Your land.
Moladetcha,
Where you were born.
where you were born. Umibet Abicha,
The house of your
fathers. Now, there's many ways you can understand things, but personally, what we understood when we were discussing it this morning, was that Artsacha is to leave the external will. Because Artsacha means land, basically the land which expresses the will, okay? And the land is the expression of the attributes of the soul, all the emotional attributes of your soul that you're made up of. And those emotions cause you to decide how to live your life. You know, you've experienced fear, you've experienced love, you've had different experiences. And based on those experiences, you make decisions about how you want to live your life. So it's your will. So first you're like, Lech Lecha, it's like leave.
The expectations of what people told you to be, your expectations of others that they told you what you should be, what you should become.
Right. So even the land itself gives you, even your mother and father will, like they'll have expectations of you that I want you to become the doctor that I never became. I want you to become, I don't know,
fulfilling a void in them.
Yeah, it's usually your parents are kind of wanting you to be the best you can be, and you're kind of an extension of them. So of course they want you to fulfill the identity of what they think, of what their parents told them, of what their parents told them,
living up to their expectations,
and living up to those expectations. So you kind of have to let go of those
preconceived notions, of the preconceived expectations, and what other people think you should be, or what you should become, or who you are, and go to your true self, what you really
find your inner voice,
your soul, what your soul and your spirit
really wants. Okay. So that's Artsacha. Then Moladetcha was the place that you're born. So what did we talk about Moladetcha being connected to? The place you were born was connected with the mother.
The umbilical cord.
The umbilical cord. The place you were born. When you were born, you were
connected to the mother.
Connected to the mother through the umbilical cord. Mm-hmm. So I had like a really neat experience at my doctor.
Acupuncture.
Tell them what he did.
He put a bunch of needles all over, the most needles you've ever gotten during an acupuncture treatment, I think.
But one area that I never expected.
And around your belly button and the umbilical cord and the wings of the umbilical cord, all around that area.
Where your umbilical cord was detached from.
And you had some kind of experience of feeling very.
I felt like my aura all of a sudden spread all over the room. I don't know how to explain, and even further, but that what did he say the effect? He said he studied with a Chinese master, and he told him that putting the needles there does what?
It stimulates like an awakening, like your metabolism and your body to go back to when you were younger.
Yeah, causing your body to kind of behave as it was when you were
younger. Yeah.
So there's that need to also, like, we're very attached to, mother in Hasidus represents Bina, and Bina means understanding. So we have interpretations of how we view the world and how we understand things that happen in the world is connected to the Ima, to the mother.
Like your genetic memory, not only your mother, but your other generations before you.
Yes, all the way down. So it's almost like you have to cut the umbilical cord, So I feel like Moladetcha, we felt that Moladetcha is connected to...
You can go beyond your story, beyond your story.
Yeah. So, and then Bet Avicha, the house of your father in Chassidus represents Chachma.
Chachma.
And Chachma is basically
Wisdom?
Knowledge. So everything that you know and all your understanding of reality and everything that created the will inside of you, all of that, you have to leave. You have to surrender it. And you have to allow yourself to go into the unknown. It's almost like, let me give you an example. Like, let's say you've gone for this job interview, and you're trying to get this certain position, and you keep going. You've been now to 3 different interviews for the same job, and they're giving you the same story, right? You're overqualified, and we can't afford to pay you, or you're underqualified, or whatever it is, and you're going for your 4th interview. If you keep that preconceived notion when you go into the next interview, you'll probably create the same results. It's almost like you need to recreate yourself with that positive attitude in order to get new results. So your approach into the world of creating a new you, which is what Avraham Avinu was doing, is connect and going into
He was like a pioneer. He was like no man have ever done what Abraham did before him, right?
Exactly, because he came.
He started a whole new idea that
monotheism was a whole new idea, and you know how people get uneasy when you have a new idea. They
you have to go against the grain. You have to go against
one man against the world.
All the fish are swimming this way, and you have to swim
in the other direction.
In the other direction.
Because everybody you have, and you have even expectations, not just from people, but in yourself.
Mm-hmm. Am I doing the right thing?
Am I doing the right thing? And I really should do this, and I really should do that. And it's like from moment to moment, as we experience life and reality from moment to moment, you need to be kind of letting go of all the expectation and be more at ease and allow yourself to live within divine providence.
Realize who you really are. Your full potential.
But one of the tools that you can use in enlightenment is when you just live from moment to moment.
In the now, be in the now.
Being in the now and being in divine providence. That knowing that everything that's happening is absolutely precise. I have a friend that I recently had that discussion with her, wonderful lady named Tilly.
Mm-hmm.
And she's using that every day, and she says that it gets her through the day. It's just, and hi Tilly, I don't know if you're watching.
There's one person, I think there might be one person watching. I don't know who it is.
One is better than none. Maybe it's us. Right? So everything starts with one. See, even as we do these videos, we go with a fresh perspective every day, and I'm not concerned about how many people are observing. I just know that I'm doing something that is worthwhile, and even if one person gets inspired, I've touched one soul, and that's a world. So and that gives me great joy, and everything we put out comes back to you. So the path to enlightenment is leaving.
When you're studying Torah, when you're putting out Torah, the vibration goes out into the world. So even though people might not watch our video or listen to our video, might be a few people listening or watching, the vibration is going out, the message is going out and spreading even further.
Yes. So never underestimate what you have to share with others. Be inspired to share, and teach others and learn from others. And in the path to enlightenment, you have to know that just like Avraham Avinu, his name was actually Avram, and it was later on changed to Avraham. So Avram means father of Ram. Avraham is like father over the world.
And all the nations.
And all the nations of the world. So what does it mean exactly? We have potentially the ability, when we allow ourselves to go into higher consciousness, which I do by studying Torah and doing mitzvahs, and or if you learn new things and you do acts of goodness and kindness, you are affecting your surroundings. You're affecting a transformation of the people in your home and in your surroundings. An example of that was like Noah, the story of Noah. You know, he had all these animals in the ark, and you wonder, how did he feed the lion without getting eaten alive, right? So it says that you told me that the nature of the animals actually transformed while they were inside the ark.
Where while they were in the ark, it was all about studying Torah and praying, and the nature of the animals, they weren't aggressive. They were able to change their nature, and once they would leave the ark, they would revert back to their aggressive nature, like normal instincts of the animals. But while they're in the ark, they behaved, and it was peaceful. And it's almost like while we're studying Torah and praying and everything, it's a time to re-energize and reset, and a time for ourselves when we have to go out into the world. We're equipped to handle anything that stresses or distractions that come up, because we've prayed and studied Torah. And
you should know that, you know, people who want to have an effect in making their imprint on the world, you don't have to like conquer the entire world. You start with your own environment. So your place of work, your home, the friends that you hang out with. Even if you go into a store and you notice that the atmosphere seems pretty thick, you know.
Right.
And I mean, I work as a psychiatric nurse. You can imagine what I'm dealing with there. And I come in with the notion and the attitude that I'm not just there to document and give medication, and I'm there because there's a higher purpose. I'm there to, you know, somehow affect, you know, the people I work with and the people, you know, that are you know, patients there, even administration, if that's possible, with bringing them enlightenment somehow, by bringing the enlightenment in myself and viewing and perceiving things in an enlightened manner, somehow hoping that affects. And I have seen results. I have seen nights when I come in and I'm super aligned in myself, and I can see that everything goes smooth, you know, like everything goes smooth in an amazing way. And then I've seen nights where I come in really tired and I'm not exactly, I didn't sleep too good, or I didn't eat the way I should have. And I'm kind of just not, I don't have the fuel, and I can see the difference, you know, like they say, when it rains, it pours, you know, and it's like, oh gosh, you know. So you really got to be responsible to path to enlightenment. Part of it is really taking care of your body, taking care of yourself.
In order to you have to have the vessel, the body. You have to have a healthy body in order to serve Hashem and to serve God. And so it's important to take care of the vessel. You have to have a balance between taking care of the body and the soul and the spiritual part.
Right, because it affects how we react to situations.
Right.
Yeah, right. I'm trying to think.
And also, you might wonder why it's Parshas Lecha. We have a daily study, like a chitas, or a daily study, and everyone who's studying that Torah portion is studying the same Torah portion that day, corresponding to that day. So it's almost like you're not just studying a random passage of the Torah. There's thousands of people, or I don't know how many people are studying the same.
Hundreds of thousands of people
studying the same portion of that day. So just that energy goes out, that everyone's focused on that chitas for that day.
That portion of the parsha of the day. And it's actually that message, that story is affecting us all.
Even though it's in the past, it's a story about the past, or a law about the past. It brings it in today.
So we have
relevant.
We have the ability to allow ourselves to experience the story related to that portion and perceive it and interpret it with the cup being half full with gratitude and drawing out the lesson of it to create a transformation, not only affecting the change in the way the story plays itself out today in our day,
timeline,
but actually affecting the entire timeline and how the story comes back around and how the story replays itself.
Quantum physics, changing the past.
And when I used to hear, the idea of changing the past, I would be like, what are they talking about? But now, when we understand that all of time exists at the same time, which now I can understand how God is the past, the future, and the present all existing at the same time. That concept was foreign to me, but now I get it. At least I get a slither of it, maybe.
That's the Mashiach consciousness. The Mashiach consciousness is the more these ideas go out into the world, the more people understand this, the world actually changes. The ideas and the behavior of the world actually changes.
And you have an ability to be a contributor. Now, the difference between Avram and Abraham is that Avram was dealing with his past, his personal past. So, here he is, a child, and he's questioning his father's values because he's worshiping these idols, and his father tells him to mind the shop with all the idols, and he, challenges his dad kind of consciousness by, breaking all the idols. And when father comes back and he's like, what happened? He says, well, I'm trying to feed them and talk to them, but they're not answering. He's like, what's the matter with you? The idols don't talk. They don't eat. And he's like, so why are you worshiping them? And it's like it broke all of his father's, like the foundation, almost like the floor under him. He took the floor under him off from under his feet. And it's like he couldn't handle it. He's like, I'm taking you to Nimrod, because it's like you're destroying their whole
way of life.
And that fear sets in, like, oh my God, I can't rely on this belief. This belief doesn't work. It threatens him so much that he took his own son to King Nimrod and said, look, my son is challenging our beliefs. Mm-hmm. And King Nimrod puts him into this furnace fire, of which Abraham miraculously walks around as if he's he's taking a walk. And Nimrod sees nothing happen. But imagine the trauma. Your own father puts you in the fire, questions your values. And we can bring it down to a more realistic level in our time, where, we have parents who expect children to live up to their ideals. It is kind of the same idea as kind of putting your kid into the fire, or making them live up to the expectations of the laws of the land, instead of them, allowing them to express their own individuality, their own ideas, and letting them be. Mm-hmm. So Abraham had trauma from the past, and it says until the age of 75, he was kind of dealing with the anger of the past, because it expresses how he went to Haran, and Haran comes from the word anger, place that expresses God's anger. But eventually,
we have to let go of our anger.
When he reached enlightenment, which is he was able to face every shadow of his past. Mm-hmm. And it says that his father actually did tshuva. Which means he repented. He
returned.
Abraham was so strong in his conviction. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. That it affected his father to change, mm-hmm. and he created a transformation in his own dad. So that was very, very healing. So we have to, even though we've come from parents that not necessarily.
Sometimes your parents can realize at a later date that the actual son, or the son's ideas, his way of life wasn't as good as the son's way of life, meaning that the father's way of life, he realizes the error of his ways, and then he realizes that the son should take on a new, be better than him. We should surpass our parents.
Well, my mom always used to tell me, I want you to surpass me.
Right. Don't copy me. Don't emulate me. Don't do the same thing I did. I want you to be better than me.
Be better than me.
Right.
And that's
I was maybe a victim to my circumstances and my parents, but don't fall victim to the same thing. Rise above me.
And
the Rebbe always said, you did this and this mitzvah. Well, there's more you can do. Add, and keep more action and more adding more mitzvahs. Never be satisfied with where you're at.
Keep moving
forward. Keep advancing.
And part of that is to be able to.
You were going to say about your mother?
Well, I was going to say that, like a lot of us have a hard time, like we kind of run away from our parents because, we come from our parents, so you can't run away. So the more you run away, the more it's going to follow you and show up in different ways. So the more you face up to all those things that are uncomfortable in your life and you make peace with it, and it doesn't mean directly, it could mean indirectly within yourself. You find those answers within yourself that make you, accept and make peace with, because your parents are a product of their parents who are a product of their parents, et cetera, et cetera. And unless you have a strong will, you keep on, you kind of like a domino effect, it just keeps spiraling down. And unless you have a strong will and you say, I got to do something different, you can't blame them for being the way they are.
We were at the doctor's office the other day, and we were talking Torah, and we were talking this information. And one of the women who worked there said, I want to know, how does this fact benefit my life? If I learn a Bible story, or how does this benefit me? How does this help me in my life? That was her question.
So, yeah. So it's like we can't just learn everything and isolate ourselves into our own world, and you have to deal with everything that's in your story and in your life. And then you go from what they call Avram to Abraham, which now when you're able to let go of the anger, when you're able to forgive and just accept people for who they are, accept your parents, this is what they are, this is who they are, these were their limitations, and you just then you like cut the umbilical cord and you set yourself free to go on your own path. Because as long as you hold on to the anger and you kind of run away from it, you're still attached. The residual is still there, because
it's almost like part of the umbilical cord is still attached to your parents.
Yeah.
You haven't completely cut the umbilical cord.
Yeah. So you've got to make peace with it somehow, and then and him seeing monotheism is like the idea that everything comes from God, and your parents are a product of God too. And from there, when you see that your experiences and everything that's in your life is a product of God, and you see God as love. You don't see him through the veil of what is undesirable, but you understand that
God is all about love.
God is all about love and oneness and wanting ultimate peace for mankind and harmony. Then you can truly start healing. And then you get to the level of enlightenment of Lecha, where you are able to surrender your past completely, and now you're able to affect the world at large.
And another thing about...
because all that residue kind of limits the way your aura goes out.
Right.
Like literally your energy field is limited by all those negative feelings.
Right.
But when you let go, it's able to go out.
Right. You have to look at it as like a loving God, how we say he's a loving God. He wants you to love your fellow man. He wants you to be all about love. Sometimes we think of negative attributes to God, punishing or this idea of the apocalypse or the messianic third world war and end of days and stuff. But Hashem doesn't want that. Hashem wants us to have peace, and I don't think there's any end of days. I don't believe in that Hashem's
the beginning is wedged in the end.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's like in the interpretation of the way people choose to see things, and they have to know that they are they are co-creators with God, and God allows you to have free choice and to choose, and we are existing in multiple realities at the same time. Two people could sit in the same room and the same things are going on, but they'll experience it in two completely different ways.
Right.
Because one comes from one level of consciousness while the other comes from a completely different place. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have to choose, use the power of being able to choose how you interpret the reality in order to widen, to see the bigger picture and draw in more light into the situation and have the ability to change it,
Change it, turn it over, attract to your thoughts the reality you want to believe.
So each and every one of us
has the ability to choose.
Has that
free choice.
Has that Messiah,
Messianic
spark inside our soul, and we are all contributors in creating the transition to bringing a better world through your individual enlightenment. And so I bless everyone out there with strength, added strength, to walk into their path of enlightenment and to open their eyes. And
Hashem is a loving God. God is a loving God.
And eat of the meal that represents, the secrets of consciousness and unveiling all those shadows, dark shadows, and coming into the Oneg of Shabbos, coming into the day of Sabbath, which means return, coming back to the oneness of your true self.
No cell phones, no computers, no distractions
on Shabbos.
And
talk about Shabbos a little bit, and we'll end with that.
Okay. It's wonderful. Shabbos, you don't have all these distractions. You're able to, it's like a 24-hour meditation. You're able to totally be in the now with yourself. There's no checking emails or anything. You're able to just focus on conversations with your loved ones, with my wife, or with friends that visit for Shabbos meals or whatever, or going to shul, and discuss Torah and meditate and just be in the now and just enjoy nature and live in Shabbos. We look forward to Shabbos. There's a lot of preparation that goes into Shabbos, and it's such an oneg. It's such a day of rest and joy, and it's something to look forward to. It's like pushing the reset button, and really every once a week having such a time to reset and have no distractions of all that technology and everything that we see today in today's world. And we have to make every day Shabbos. You should bring it into the week. That sweetness of Shabbos should carry on through the whole week and have that same vibration through the whole week. But especially on Shabbos, you go to the mikveh, you shower, you put on nice clothes, you feel like a mensch, you feel like you're prepared for Shabbos and it's just amazing a time of the week, and it's wonderful keeping Shabbos.
Mm-hmm. So on that note, have a Shabbos-tic a week.
Shabbos week.
A week of oneg, of feeling the peace and the pleasure of the fruits of your labor, and peace and love.
Peace and love. Okay. Stream. Sorry, she went to end your stream.